Hey, what's up YouTube? This is my next video. I wanted to do kind of like a little get to know me, but this is more advice for my younger self that I wish somebody would have given to me. This is the top priority one, and I would say find God. I was raised Catholic. I did not raise my kids as Catholic. They are not baptized or anything like that, just because I kind of felt very hypocritical because there was a time where I had a love-hate relationship with God, and my kids got older and I felt like I was kind of giving them that toxic relationship. So now it's like I tell them, go put God first, talk to him daily. So I do say that I am a non-practicing Catholic. However, I do still believe in the Virgencita. I still follow a lot of the Catholic laws, but really and truly, God is everywhere. And I don't care what anyone says. Just because you go to church every day doesn't make you better than the person that doesn't go to church. God is there to speak to him, to go to him whenever you need him. He is all around us. And I read an amazing book. It's called Conversations with God. And it was a true story of somebody, his personal experience with God and his relationship. And it made me realize that God is just trying to live through us. And he's hoping and praying that we carry him everywhere we go. And I try to. I'm not perfect. I'm no saint. I fail daily. But I feel like he's never left us. Like, he's never left me, my siblings, even in moments where I felt like we were just tired, exhausted, or we shouldn't be here because of like our experiences. I feel like God just never ever left us. And I always try to tell my kids that, like, I even point out, like, you remember the time that mom was going insane, and then all of a sudden I get a thought in my head and everything's fixed. And I always tell them, like, that's not just me, that's God. Like, it's God. And I can't justify how in a moment of distress and going insane, I get this light bulb. And I truly believe that that's the way God works. Like, if we just calm down enough, he's there. So that would be my number one, is find God now that you're young. I definitely don't want to see anybody have to struggle with their faith, and especially being a parent, it's so hard. I feel like I failed my kids just because, like, I was kind of learning it as I went. So I am 36 years old, and if I was in my 20s, this is what I will be telling my children. Travel the world. Do it now as a single traveler before you get into a relationship or before you have kids. Travel the world, experience the world. Devote your 20s into getting certificates, studying, going to college, whatever you want to do. If you're interested in trades, this is your time to get that done before you have kids, before you get involved, before you get married. I think it's very, very important to find a career path that fulfills your needs. And if you do this before getting married or having kids, you have more time and dedication to see what really suits your heart and your soul. This should probably be my number one, but I didn't want to be too negative on this channel. So I personally would not have had kids at a very young age, and I will be telling my 20-year-old kids to try to hold off as much as possible. Kids are a blessing, they're amazing, but it's hard work, and our children deserve the absolute best. So I would spare you time and money, and I would tell you, do everything that you possibly can before you have kids. That way, when you are a parent, your life is settled and your life is planned out for you, and you're not kind of taking your child along for the ride and figuring out your life. This is extremely, extremely important. Build a community. And I say this in your 20s just because in your 20s you're still very young, and it's easy to be adaptable and to have time for friends and family. And I think what people don't talk about a lot is, if you don't build a community, life is harder. Life is alone. It's lonely. And I wish I would have spent more time building a community, but sometimes I felt very short because I was too busy being a mom. I was too busy trying to figure out finances. I was too busy trying to get ahead for my kids that I didn't have time to build a community. It wasn't because I wasn't a people person. It wasn't because I just didn't like people. It was really and truly time, money, stress. Like, you have so many things on your mind once you're a parent that building that community, it gets difficult as you get older. And the younger you have kids, you're kind of devoting your young years to your children, as it should be. But then you lose that opportunity of building any kind of community. So I would definitely tell my kids is focus on build a community. I actually tell my daughter this all the time, like, try to find friends, like, but this is your time to build that community. My next thing, and this might sound a little taboo, but we do a lot of terrible things as kids, as adolescents, adolescents. I always forget that word. I always say adolescents. I don't know why. But we do bad things when we don't know what is the right thing to do. And I went through the terrible experience of learning some bad stuff that I did as a child during my therapy session, things that I have stored away in my brain and completely forgot about. And it was very, very hard and triggering to deal with that as an adult, because I knew as an adult, I knew what was right from wrong. But then I had to give myself grace. So this is where my advice to you is: forgive yourself for what you did in the past. If you ever hurt somebody, ask them to forgive you. If you want to address something that you did bad, this is your chance to ask for forgiveness, or just to vent to them, like, I'm sorry, I didn't know better. Like, this is your absolute chance to correct the things that you did as a childhood. Are you a terrible person? No. Are you evil? No. It was just things that you didn't know right from wrong. And I truly believe that we've all done bad things in our lives, especially as kids, when we didn't know right from wrong. So make sure to give yourself grace. And the next one kind of goes hand in hand is get therapy. Find a good therapist. This is your chance to try. I went to 3 until I found one that I actually felt comfortable with. I don't go with her now just because of financial situations, but she really opened my eyes. And I think the best part of my therapist was that she went all the way back to when I was a child and opened up my brain to so much. It was terrible timing. I was already 34 when I was starting to go consistently, and it's been hard for me to adjust to childhood traumas, to things that you put your body through. And right now I feel like I'm in a self-isolation process because I'm really trying to heal myself, and on top of that, being a parent. So if I was still young in my 20s, I would look into a therapist before I have kids, now that I'm young, just because it's harder to carry that on as you get older. So my next advice would be, keep in mind that this is for somebody in their 20s and preferably don't have kids. However, if you have little ones, it's still possible. I wish somebody would have taught me how to save. Now, I was a big saver, if I'm honest. When I lost my 6-figure income, that's the reason why we're still doing good, is because I was a big saver. Like, I saved. However, it was not enough. So if I was in my 20s and my kids were still very young, they were, not in their teens and stuff, and they were still very young, I would save every single cent. I would be the most cheapest person ever. I would not have a car payment. I would have paid a car in cash. I just wish I would have saved way more, because as you get older, these kids are getting older with you. And it's now, I think as an adult for yourself, it's kind of easy. Like, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it, and that's it. But when you have kids in a society where they have parents that are fully established and are doing good in life, and you're kind of like in limbo, it gets hard and it gets difficult. And that's the reason why I wish somebody would have told me, like, no, mijita, you are not saving enough. Because, don't get me wrong, we still make things happen, but I still feel like we fall short sometimes. And I don't think money is, I've always been a type of person that money and materialistic didn't mean much to me, but it was easier to say that when my kids were still young. Now that I'm older and now that my kids are older, I do feel like money is very essential. And it's not necessarily because, oh, we want a Bugatti or anything. It's because it's just the flexibility of being able to, like, hey, your son forgot this, you need to go buy him a new pair of cleats. Like, it's just the, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say it's just a privilege. I guess it's a privilege, the freedom of not having to be like, oh crap, like I'm gonna have to go negative just to buy him this, just to buy him that. And I think that is so important, and it's so easy to do it when you don't have kids or when your kids are super small. Like my two little ones, like it's so easy with them, but when the older ones, that's where it's hard and that's where it gets difficult. And of course, like as a mom, you want to give them everything. Even though you're struggling inside, you want to make sure you're making it happen for them. So I would say save, save, save. I know we live in a day and time where everyone has this and everyone's flexing and bottle night and this and that. No, save, save, save. I promise those nights of hangovers are not going to be worth it. And yeah, that would be on my list. Okay, so this was close to my last one. I have two more left, but this one is extremely important after God, okay? And I think it's just learning healthy habits. And this could be anything from self-soothing, this can be anything from exercising, eating well, being consistent. Like I have the hardest time with being consistent. Like it is the most difficult thing for me. I don't know why. I like how I said in my other video, I think with my ADHD, I am so like, if there's a deadline attached to it, I'm there, I got it. But being consistent, it's so difficult. And I'm learning this and I'm learning this. And I think now as a mom, it's hard because you're like telling your kids, do this, do this, do this, be this way, be that way. But then you're not that way. And I think that's where I'm like starting to realize like I can't be criticizing these kids anymore because I'm not that way yet. So trying to zero in on that. And if you don't have kids and if you're in your 20s, get that down now. Like learn how to be consistent, learn how to eat well, learn how to reach for the pepino instead of the pepino con tajín, or like, you know, like I am starting to realize that I never established healthy habits. I was kind of like, okay, this is enough, let's go. This is enough, let's go. And I always got praised, like, oh, you have so much to handle, but you handle it so well. But I didn't. And now that like time has like slowed down for me, I feel like I didn't handle it well. It's taking a toll on me. So if you are young and you have, I mean, shoot, if you even have less than 4 kids, like get it done, work on those habits, because in the long run, they're extremely, extremely important. And I know right now we live in a place where everyone's like working out, everyone's doing this, but sometimes I ask myself, like, are they really consistent? Because I know I'm not. Like, I am having the hardest time, and I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, but I'm trying daily, I'm trying. So if you are young, get that down now. Okay, so now my very last advice that I would give my 20-year-olds, which my daughter is going to be 20 next year. Oh my goodness. Okay. So what I would give, and I hope Jules, if you're watching this video's for you, mamitas, but I hope that in your 20s, you establish boundaries and standards for your life. This is something that boundaries is something that I've always had a hard time with, just because I come from a very different family dynamic, and my mom was like family first, family first. So sometimes I did ignore my boundaries because, you know, like family first, and not necessarily bad things. It was just like, okay, I'm gonna rest this weekend, but then my sisters would be like, hey, let's go to here, take the kids here, and I would go. So I think those kind of things, and it's not anyone's fault, it's not their fault, it's not, I mean, it is my fault for not setting the boundaries and not caring about FOMO, but I think I wish I knew how to set boundaries. And my youngest sister, she's so great at this. Like, at a very young age, I find myself in awe with her because she's so like, these are my boundaries and that's it. Like, whether you like me or not, whether, I don't care. I am a very emotional person. I don't know if you noticed this, but I cry for like the most stupidest things ever. But anyways, so if anything, I think setting boundaries is so important for your mental health, for your time management, for your success, period. Like, your success is going to be all based on your boundaries, because you will allow only what you are willing to allow. And that's something that I never learned, honestly. I think I've gotten better than the last year or two, but because of therapy. But I feel like it's something super important. Now, the second one is standards. I am very good with standards. My standards are extremely high for myself in general. And then it trickles down to my kids, and then I kind of like let loose a little bit because I know they were too high for them. And then it's to my husband. Like, I have extremely high standards. Like, there's times where people, like, I'll be venting to people and they'll be like, Claudia, but you're doing great as a mom. Like, you're doing great. And I'm just like, no, like, I yelled at them, and I will beat myself up for it because my standards are so high. And every time that I fail, it's very, very disheartening. But if I'm honest, I'm proud that I have that, because if I didn't, I would be stuck in situations, and my kids would be stuck in situations where I thought enough was like, this was good enough for us. And I feel like there a lot of my goals that I had as a mom were brought to reality because my standards were like extremely through the roof. So it's a good and bad, but I think those are very, very important, two important things in being successful. And if you are wanting to ever be a parent, and this goes for moms and dads, I've noticed that the most successful parents out there are the ones that kind of follow these tips that I just gave you. And I see them now, how successful they are in being there for their kids. And these are things that I'm barely learning in my 30s. And it is a struggle because I'm kind of like, I'm learning and I'm dragging my kids with me. Like, come on, babies, like, let's all learn together. And I don't want that for anybody else. I wish somebody would have told me these before I had kids. I mean, I probably would have still had kids, but maybe I would have focused on these things first while they were still very, very little, and instead of focusing on other stupid things that I was focusing on. I wish I would have got this down before, now that my kids are older. So that is my YouTube video for today. I do have my second chapter coming up. I am gonna probably record that tonight if I have time. But thank you so much for watching my video, and I appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, leave me your handles. I want to make sure that I'm subscribed to everybody else. I know everyone's on their content creation journey, and I love it. I feel like every single person has different advice, different point of views, and I think it's necessary and it's needed in our communities. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll catch you on the next one.